Welcome to Exact Max Training. This lesson is on the Inventory tab of the Part Master in Bill of Materials. During this lesson, you will learn what is on the Part Master's Inventory tab. Let's get started. These are the steps we'll follow. We'll go to the System Manager's Engineering tab. Then we'll choose the Activity menu, the Part Master, and the Inventory tab. So from the System Manager, select the Engineering tab. When the Bill of Materials opens, select the Activity menu. Then choose Part Master from the list. When the Part Master opens, choose the Inventory tab. The Part Master's Inventory tab may be used to enter new parts and to enter or review inventory-related information about parts. Stock IDs must be entered using the Inventory Control module before parts can be assigned to stock IDs. A part cannot be deleted if it has any inventory in any stock room. Let's talk about the part identifier. This is usually written as Part ID, a name or number that Max uses to identify a part or a resource. The format of the part identifier is something you define. A part ID may contain any combination of up to 30 alphanumeric characters. If you know the part ID code that you'd like to use, manually enter it here. If you would like to view a list of current codes, double-click the field. And the Part Master browser window will open. Click the Search button. You may use the scroll arrows to move through the list of available codes. When you find a part you'd like to use, double-click to add it to the Inventory tab. The description fields are two 50-character fields in which you can further describe a part ID. Description 1 is printed on all of the reports and displayed on all of the screens. Description 2 can be unloaded by using the Unload Part data. It is displayed on selected screens and printed on some reports. Let's look at the part type codes. The part type code tells Max how to handle various activities throughout the system. This drop-down shows the available code types that you can use. Use the part type code M only for top-level parts that are to be manually scheduled in the master schedule. You will want most of your component parts to be automatically planned using MRP, so these must be coded for Part A, manufactured, or B, purchased, at this time. The MRP module will not create planned orders for parts with part type code of C, D, F, M, P, R, S, X, or Y. For more information on how these codes function, please review the Bill of Materials User Guide. Note: changing the part type code for a part with existing orders may cause inconsistencies in the MRP planning process. Open orders should be deleted prior to changing the code. The Primary Stock field shows the stock location in which the displayed part ID is typically found. The Primary Stock ID field displayed on the Part Master's Inventory tab and Master tab is a required entry in order to perform a repetitive backflush for a shop order. Only parts that have been assigned a primary stock ID and have an on-hand balance large enough to cover the requirements are issued against a shop order during a repetitive backflush. If you had double-clicked that field, you will end up in the Stockroom Part browser. If a code already appears in the window, you may press the Erase or Clear button. Then you may search for all of the available codes. Find the stock ID you'd like to use and double-click to add it to the Part Master. The Zone field is a 10-character user-defined field displayed in the Part Master on the Inventory tab and the Master tab. The zone describes a specific physical location within a larger or more general stock ID. When receiving inventory into stock, MAX will always default first to the primary stock ID and the zone for the part stock relationship. MAX will always allow you to change the zone after giving you a warning. Notice the field for last transaction date. This is the date of the last inventory transaction affecting this part ID. Check the Inspection Required option if you would like to be notified that this part requires inspection when orders are received. Notice the flag for lot control. The checkbox here only appears active if you own the lot and tracking module. If the lot tracking module has not been purchased, the checkbox is inactive and appears gray. Checking the lot control checkbox by clicking this field places a displayed part ID under lot control. Family parts, F, cannot be placed under lot control. If you have lot tracking, you may designate a shelf life for this part if you'd like. The field is entered in days, and you may enter up to 9,999. If a shelf life isn't applicable to this part, accept the default of 0. If a part is under lot control and you enter a shelf life, MAX will calculate and store the lot's expiration date as the lot is received into stock. The Group field is only active and viewable if Lot Control box on this screen is checked. For those users with lot and serial tracking enabled, the Group field allows you to establish parameters for controlling lot and serial numbers for a specific group of parts. This field displays the group ID that the part is assigned to. A group ID and group description and group parameters on how lot control numbers are assigned can be viewed, and new groups can also be added from this field. If you have lot tracking, you can turn the flag on if a part is under serial number control. A part does not need to be under lot control to be under serial number control. The checkbox for Lot Shop Floor Control only appears active if you own the lot tracking module. Setting this flag to On captures lot control data automatically as the lot moves from one shop order operation to the next. The part must be under lot control, and it must be an assembled part type codes of MAC, SXT, or R. If this flag is on, the lot number must be entered at the time a manufacturing order is opened or approved for release. The lot number and the order number have a one-to-one relationship. Please note that if the multi-receipts flag is off and the lot shop floor control flag is on, entire order quantities must be received into stock at one time. This provides the tightest control of lots, but demands strict internal disciplines over material movements. This flag cannot be set on until all currently approved and released jobs for the part have been completed and received into stock. This checkbox for serial shop floor control works just like the one for lot shop floor control. If it is checked, it will track the serial number movement through all shop floor operations. Multi-receipts flag. This checkbox displays on the Part Master's Inventory tab if you own lot tracking. This part level flag controls whether more than one receipt of this part can be made with the same lot number. If the multi-receipts flag is on, checked, then all receipts of a lot share the same order. So, for example, if your numbering convention uses the date of receipt and more than one receipt is processed during a day, then multi-receipts flag should be set to on. If the multi-receipts flag is off or unchecked, then the following things are true. Only one PO order number can be associated with a lot. MAX requires a unique lot number on each PO line. MAX allows the same lot number on a delivery's purchase order line delivery. MAX does not allow multiple receipts of the same lot number on the purchase order line delivery. This affords tighter controls, but it also demands greater internal disciplines over material movements. The default setting is off. Now let's discuss setting up the cycle count information for the part. The cycle count code on the Part Master's Inventory tab displays how often a cycle count should be performed for the part. Valid codes include N for no cycle counting, D for daily, W for weekly, M for monthly, Q for quarterly, B for biannually, and A for annually. The cycle count exception report can be used to periodically audit on-hand part balances. All parts that have been coded for counting within the given period are listed on this report. The cycle count date is updated by the post-cycle count update only. The class code field is on the Part Master's Inventory tab and Master tab. This is a reference field used to assign alphanumeric values to those percentages of inventory that represent parts of a certain value. Valid entries are any alphanumeric character from 0 through 9 and A through Z. An example of assigning class codes using Pareto's law follows. The class code A usually represents a small quantity of highest value parts, 80% of the total inventory value, 20% of the number of parts. Code B usually represents 15% of total inventory value and 30% of parts. Code C would then represent the remaining 5% of the value and 50% of the parts. Code C parts can be assigned reorder point part type codes to save inventory management effort, since these parts have a low dollar impact. A class code D might be assigned to obsolete parts. Note, use annual usage dollars to determine ABC code. The term class code is also known as the ABC classification code. Many MAX reports sort by class code, such as the inventory value by class code report. The cycle count tolerance is calculated as a percentage. This value defines the acceptable variance range for the cycle count. For example, if the current on-hand quantity is 100 and the allowable cycle count tolerance is 2% over or under, then a cycle count quantity of 97 pieces or 103 pieces would exceed the maximum allowable cycle count tolerance percentage, and a warning message saying "Warning, out of tolerance" would appear during cycle counts. MAX keeps track of the number of cycle counts for a part that were out of tolerance, as well as the total number of cycle counts for the part. This information is printed on the cycle count exception report. If the field is left blank, MAX assumes 0% tolerance and will display warnings if the cycle counts are off by any amount. If you don't care about the tolerance, enter 100%. The tolerance dollar amount field is similar to the cycle count tolerance percent, except that the limit is stated in dollars. For example, the cycle count tolerance might be set at $100. If the amount shown on a cycle count were less than $100, no warning would be produced. If the cycle count amount fluctuated by more than 100, over or under, a warning would be generated to help ensure an accurate physical inventory count. If the field is left blank, Max assumes $0 tolerance and will display warnings if the cycle counts are off by any amount. If you don't care about the tolerance, enter $9,999. The cycle count last date field shows the last date on which a selected part was cycle counted. The reorder point specifies an inventory level below which inventory for that part must be restocked. A reorder point value should be assigned to all part IDs with part type codes A and B that have reorder policy, C, D, X, and Y. Reorder point values must be entered using Bill of Materials units of measure. Reorder point values can be assigned using the Part Master Inventory or Planner tabs. Reorder quantity is a value that specifies how many units of a part ID should be ordered to restock the inventory. Reorder quantity values must be entered using the Bill of Materials unit of measure. The minimum, maximum, and multiple order quantities fields tells MRP what quantities to create the orders for. This can also be set on the Planner tab. The average order quantity field is a user-defined estimate that represents the quantity of a selected part ID included in a typical order. Primary purpose is to allocate setup cost for orders for shop order operations that use one setup per order. The amount of inventory kept on hand for unplanned usage, such as scrap, breakage, changes in demand, or delivery variations. Quantities should be in the Bill of Materials unit of measure. All order policies consider safety stock. Excess receipt field tells Max what extra percentage can be received on a purchase order or shop order. It defaults from the system configuration setting but can be manually changed here. The average weight field is a 10-digit field on the Inventory tab used to enter the average weight for this part. This entry is optional. If entered, you may print this data on sales orders and invoices. The weight unit of measure is a 2-character user-defined field on the Inventory tab that is used to describe the part's weight unit of measure. It will default to OZ for ounces. You may print this data on the sales orders and invoices. The on-hand field shows the total amount of inventory in all stockrooms. The non-nettable field shows the total amount of inventory that is in stockrooms that are not considered by MRP as being available to use. If you have made any changes, the Update button will become active. If you have not made changes, it will be grayed out. To leave the Inventory tab and close the Part Master, click the Close button. And you will return to the Bill of Materials window. To leave the Bill of Materials module and return to the System Manager, click the Activity menu and choose Exit. And you are now back at the System Manager. In this lesson, we have learned about the Inventory tab in the Part Master. Thank you for taking part in Exact Max training.